So could you tell me a little bit about your own story and your own personal experiences?
Yeah, well, my name's Alf Dubs. I used to be MP for Battersea, and then I lost my seat, sadly, and I'm now a Labour member of the Lords. I'm a refugee. I came to Britain as an unaccompanied child refugee at the age of 6 in 1939, thanks to Sir Nicholas Winton, who was organising Kindertransports from Prague. Anyway, I got here, and Britain was very welcoming to me, and I went into politics, into Labour politics, of course. And when I lost my seat, I became head of the Refugee Council, so I was working for 7 or 8 years in the cause of refugees. And I also worked for refugees when I was in the Commons, on the Labour front bench for a time, and then the Lords whenever there's an opportunity. So I think it's an issue that's dear to my heart. But can I say, it's not because of my background that I only moved the amendment in the Lords on child refugees. It's because I believe it's necessary and a proper thing to do. The fact that I have an emotional involvement with it because of my background is an extra, and it did get me more publicity for the amendment, which possibly was helpful. Anyway, you don't want the story of the amendment now, do you?
I wouldn't mind. One of my questions was what you hope to achieve with it. Sort of why you initiated it.
Okay, what happened was the immigration bill was going through Parliament, and Save the Children had produced some statistics showing initially there were 26,000 child refugees, unaccompanied child refugees somewhere in Europe. They amended that figure on further work to 95,000, and the 10,000 had actually gone missing. Shocking figure. So I had an amendment which was passed in the Lords overwhelmingly. It went to the Commons, and there was much lobbying by the government and by us, and although some Tory MPs came out in support, there weren't enough, and so it was narrowly defeated. And then we went back to the Lords, we changed the wording a bit, we went back to the Lords, passed overwhelmingly, by which time public opinion was coming out on the side of this amendment. People's humanitarian instincts showed very clearly. I got lots of messages supporting the amendment. I think that put pressure on Tory MPs and their constituencies. So by the time it looked like going to the Commons, the government caved in and said they would support the amendment. So I had the pleasure of seeing the amendment on the House of Commons order paper with Theresa May, the Home Secretary's name on it.
Well, that's brilliant. And why do you think events like this meeting tonight are so important?
Well, for two main reasons. One is we've got to keep the pressure on the government to make sure the child refugees actually come, that they don't drag their heels. We'd like as many as possible to come before the school term in September. They've got to be much more purposeful in identifying the child refugees. And they said they would identify the ones in Italy, Greece and France. That's fine, those are the main countries. But we want them to get on with it. But we also want the support in local communities, and that's where this meeting comes in, because we need maximum local support so that local councils will do their stuff, both for the vulnerable Syrians in the original government scheme of 20,000 over 5 years, and also for unaccompanied child refugees under this recent amendment. So local pressure, local support, local involvement is absolutely crucial. And lastly, there's been an appalling increase in hate crime in the recent past. It was exacerbated by some of the nasty politics in the referendum campaign, and I think it's important that we also all stand firm to make sure that our voice is heard, that we will not condone any of these hate crimes, we will oppose them totally, and we will seek to get public opinion on our side.
Well, that leads on very nicely to my last question. If you could encourage everyone here tonight to do one thing to help refugees, what would it be?
So many.
I know, it's a very hard question.
I would like the maximum pressure on Wandsworth Council. I would like the maximum effort to publicise this sort of meeting and the cause that brings us all together. I would like a determined effort to try and get public opinion as much as possible on our side, and I would like people who might have offers of accommodation and people who might be willing to become foster parents to come forward to offer to do that.